everybody, and welcome back to My Boss is a Theater Kid. My name is Katie Hopsaker, and I cannot wait because today we are here at Zeem Studios right in Times Square in New York City with my good friend Jalen Jones. And Jalen is our first in-studio guest, so I'm so excited to learn more about what you're doing right now. Yeah. Jalen is one of my best friends from college. We went to Southern Methodist University together, and we were both dance majors, so we're gonna unpack what he's up to. And he's had a really successful career so far, even for being so young. Oh. And I'm so proud of him as a friend, and I can't wait to hear more. So welcome, Jalen, to My Boss is a Theater Kid.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much, Kitty. You know I love you, and I'm honestly so honored to be the first. Like, this is a great thing that you're doing here. And yeah, let's dive in.
Let's do it. Okay, so Jalen is a dancer, an actor, a performer. You wear so many hats. Tell us, what are you doing right now for work? And what are you working on, and what made you love dance in the first place?
Okay, so let me start with how did I start dancing and and why I love it.
Let's take it back.
Let's take it all the way back. So basically, I went to a performing arts high school. I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, but I grew up half my life in Atlanta, Georgia. Mm-hmm. And I went to the performing arts high school called Pebblebrook High School, where I enrolled as an acting major. And it honestly was the best thing I think I've ever done for myself. And I will say, while I was at this performing arts high school, I remember we would be in class, and I loved acting, but I knew I had a different passion. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm so happy my parents pushed me to go to this school because I was so nervous to audition for it. Yeah. You know, you're 14 years old, going into high school, you want to stay with your friends at the school that you're districting for.
Right.
But my mom was like, no. And my dad was like, you want to do this. You need to try it out. Mm-hmm. And they were always down for letting all of their children do whatever they wanted to do because they were just such supporting and loving parents. And I remember auditioning, and it was so scary. But I did it, and I got in. And I remember one day I was sitting in drama class, and next door to our drama studios were the dance studios.
This is in high school?
Yes, in high school. And I would always hear this music. It was either Lady Gaga or Ed Sheeran or some jazz song that everyone knows from just growing up in dance. And it was amazing. I kept leaving class just to go watch through the windows because they had so many big windows, and it was gorgeous to watch all these dancers dance. And I remember later that year I went to an open house for my performing arts high school, and they put on one every single year just so you could see what the school is about and what they did the previous year. And I remember watching 5 girls perform. They did West Side Story the previous year. And I remember watching the 5 women do America. And I looked over to my mom and I said, I want to do that. And she was like, okay, then let's work on it. Let's get you there. And I was like, great. And so I remember my sophomore year, I came in, and at the end of sophomore year, I said, I want to change to be a dance major. Mm-hmm. And, the teachers were like, oh, you never shown that much,
You knew who you were from a young age.
Exactly.
You knew you were going for dance.
Yeah. I knew what I wanted, and it was calling to me. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny. There's a story of me when I used to do gymnastics as a kid. My coach told my parents maybe I should try out for a dance or cheer team because during gymnastics, I would always be watching the dancers or the cheerleaders, and I would just be mimicking them and doing all of their routines. But it's because I actually loved it. I wasn't making fun of it, but the coach even saw that. And so I'm so happy I made that choice to go to the performing arts high school, and to change my major, because that was a big thing. It was like, whoa, you're changing your major?
Right.
And
it's okay to pivot. And even no matter how young or old you are, it's totally okay to pivot and go in a new direction.
Exactly. So yeah, that's how I kind of got started.
I love it. And so then that brought you to SMU, where we met.
Yes.
And we had so much fun.
We had a great
have so
time.
many stories.
A great time.
But I want to ask about, because SMU is a very interesting program. We obviously did classical ballet training, we did modern training in the Graham technique, and then we also did jazz, but it was a lot more like rooted jazz and not
Right.
musical theater.
Mm-hmm.
Now you are in the musical theater profession.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you decide to make that switch to musical theater and or not even make that switch, but how did you decide to focus on musical theater?
Musical theater rather than like concert dance.
Yeah, rather than concert dance. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's kind of
definitely.
what we were doing at SMU.
Yeah, I mean, SMU was great.
Yeah.
I will say that. You know,
Shout out.
No, shout out. I loved our time. Loved all the amazing people, professors, every friends that I've made there, including you. I mean, SMU. I always say that is the place where I got my foundation for my dance technique
Yeah.
and training, and I'm very grateful for that. And I knew, deep in my heart, I always knew I wanted to do musical theater. Even while being at SMU, there was something in me that was like musical theater. I loved watching musicals. I loved singing. I loved acting. So I was like, why not? You
Yeah.
know, like literally, why not?
Right.
And I remember one day we were in jazz. We were in a jazz rehearsal, and Katie, you were in it.
Wait, what year was this?
It was my junior year, so I believe.
Oh, so my senior year.
Yeah, and it was.
Fall semester then?
I think it was fall
Okay.
semester, and you were dancing to Blues in the Night.
Oh my God.
And I remember just being so locked in. And honestly, that memory really helped me solidify, I guess, like seeing a friend like excel so well and what they were doing. Katie, was electric.
Oh my
It
God.
was electric. And I always go back, even in my group chat, as you know, we have a group chat of the SMU dancers of 2022. And I'm always like, that was a pivotal moment, because not only were you dancing, like technique was there, but you were telling a story. And that's a big thing. I'm really big on that idea. Like, that's what musical theater is. Musical theater is telling a story
Right.
through your movement, through your expressions, through your body, through your voice, through everything that you can exude, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember watching, and I cried. Like, a few tears fell down. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Caitlin and I are both very emotional.
no, truly, very. And I remember sitting there being like, this is why I love theater. And SMU helped me get there. Like I said, it gave me the foundation. So
Right.
now when I'm in musical theater auditions or while I'm doing musical theater, I'm like, great, I have the technique. Now it's time for story. Now it's
Totally.
time for this and that and the other, you know? So I would say, yeah, that's how and why I did the change to musical theater. I also always sang. Like, you know, growing up, I would always sing in the house, sing
Oh,
and
you did voice lessons
yeah,
at SMU.
did a few voice lessons at SMU, and I was always told I have a natural voice. So I was like, okay,
Which you do.
thank you. So I was like, okay, let me try this. Let's see how it goes. And I will say, so far, it's been pretty successful.
Yeah.
But like, I couldn't have done it without high school training, without SMU,
Right.
also without my friends.
I was just going to say that, like, the community that we built at SMU. And I mean, if we have any younger listeners out there, like, I would recommend a conservatory program so much. And
Yes.
I mean, we could go into that on a whole nother episode
Mhm.
about like conservatories versus like a BFA versus a BA, and
Right.
being able to double major or
Mhm.
just going into a conservatory program. And the way SMU worked, we had such a tight knit community within the art school.
Yeah.
And I feel like even I remember my junior year, like we went to the Muni auditions together, or
Yes.
we drove to Oklahoma with
So many
Kat.
twice.
Yes.
So many times.
Yes, so many times we would like drive over the border to audition for a summer
Literally.
theater, and unfortunately COVID like put a wrench in a lot of that.
Yeah.
But just having somebody else to like push you along the way, I
Yeah.
think like really helps.
It
So,
matters having like-minded people
Yeah.
wanting to do exactly what you want to do, or not even exactly what you want to do, but something in the realm, something to help push you forward, like help
Similar
motivate you.
ambitions.
Yeah,
Yes.
similar ambitions. Like you
Yeah.
want to work with people that think alike. You know.
You are who you
Yeah.
are who you surround yourself with.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I love it. Well, so then after SMU, of course, you moved here to New York. So tell
Yes.
me about that transition into the big city. I know you worked a couple quote unquote survival jobs,
Oh,
which
yes.
we can go over if we like that term or not.
Hmm.
But tell me about that, and then how have you liked living in New York?
Yeah, definitely. I would say, New York has its great days, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're like, wow, like you're like, oh my God, like come on, this day can it please get any better?
Yeah.
But I will say the best days outweigh the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say after graduating from SMU, I went home to New Orleans,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of was like on a mini vacation
We
because
graduated at a very tough time.
we
Like
did.
I graduated in 2021. You were 2022.
Hmm.
Like COVID was
Right.
still
It
around.
was, yeah, we were like really in the middle,
Yeah, it was so hard to,
hmm
especially here in New York. I mean,
yeah,
as everyone
even
knows.
harder for you. I mean, you graduated like truly
Well,
like
that's why I
in
went
the
to grad school.
right. No,
Well, one
true.
of the many reasons I went to grad school
And
for
you're
many
doing
reasons.
great.
But yeah, but like it definitely was hard to like make that transition in
Yeah.
that tumultuous time
Hmm.
that we were living in,
Hmm.
especially in the arts world.
No, it
But
was. And, like, I mean, we went to school for dance.
yeah,
Many people who went to school for musical theater had showcases where their schools would send out to agencies and
right.
casting directors that they have built relationships with. And coming from SMU, unfortunately, we did not have that just because we
Mhm.
went to school for dance. We didn't go to school
Right.
for musical theater, so we just weren't equipped with that, which is not their fault, but that's just how it like all came down.
Right.
So it
And like I would say we graduated with different skills than some of the musical theater programs. You know, like
truly,
it's weighing those balances, but
yeah, definitely. And I would say so for me it was a lot of cold sending, cold submissions,
yeah.
basically emailing and advocating for myself. Being like, "Hi, I'm Jalen. This is a little bit about me, where I'm from, what I've done, what I would love to do, and also how can you help me get there?"
Mm.
Because that like and I always tell people when you're looking for an agent, the main thing you want to look for is one, communication. Communication's key.
Mhm.
Two, like you're working for them as much as they are working for you. So it has to be a tight knit ship. It truly does.
Right.
And while I was looking for agencies, I would reach out to friends. Hey, tell me a little bit about your agency. Like, have you enjoyed it? Have you not? And some people would be like, oh, great things. And then you have, everyone has their
Yeah,
own
everyone has different
right.
experiences. Yeah.
Everyone has their own experience, but I ended up going with an agency called Hell's Kitchen Agency, and they were
And
great.
you just basically cold called them.
Yeah, I cold called them and I sent an email, and I think this was the second agency that got back to me within 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
I know. Never thought that would happen like that. Usually people are like, oh, it takes like a week or two.
Right.
And I was like, oh no, like that's so much time. Some people are like, sometimes it can take months. And I'm like, oh God. And not having like that help from like that musical theater students would have, I was like, oh
Right.
no, like where will this get me? But within 10 minutes, I had a meeting with the head agent there.
Mhm.
And from that moment on, we signed a little thing saying that I was going to be represented by them. And yeah, I would say that's how I transitioned into the agency aspect of it.
Right, and then being able to move to New York.
Yeah.
Do you think, honestly, going back to what we were just talking about, like, do you
Hmm.
think maybe instead of majoring in musical theater, instead you majored in dance, do you think that maybe set you apart when you were looking for agents?
I think it did because in musical theater, you are looking for many things.
Mm-hmm.
You have your dancers, you have your actors, you have your singers, and then you have your dancers who sing, singers who move, and it keeps going on and going on and going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely think being such a strong dancer who sings has helped me so much because I would cold submit to some of these agencies, and they would get back to me and they would be like, we're so interested in you because you are such a strong dancer, but
Mm.
also you do have a really nice voice to be in the ensemble, to cover. And I was like, oh, thanks. And at that point,
You're
like,
like, oh, thank you so much.
I know, thank you. I was like,
Hire
thank
me.
you. No, no, literally, hire me, please. Oh my God, please. But yeah, I think back to that, and I'm always like, I don't know. It was just like crazy,
Yeah.
A lot of stuff was happening that time, and I was a little scared, honestly, to move to New York
Yeah.
without having an agent. and it just came at the right time. And I remember within a month of having, not even a month, 2 weeks of having an agent, I got sent a Broadway audition, flew up, did it, made it all the way through final callbacks. Did I get it? No. But I started building connections with casting directors and also
Totally.
people in the room. Like, if people that you're auditioning with see you and they hear you and they think you're a nice person, they want to work with you. They keep that in mind.
Right.
So that was really nice. And then a week later, I got the call that I booked my first show, Kinky Boots.
Mm-hmm.
And that, and amazing.
And where was that again? That was.
I did it at Main State Music Theater and I did it at the Fulton Theater. Two big equity houses.
Yeah, really big regional theaters.
Yeah,
Incredible. I
really-
remember you calling me.
Yeah.
And we were freaking out.
I was shocked. I was like, oh my God. Like, of course I've heard about these theaters, but
Yeah.
I never thought I would start there.
Yeah.
I always thought there was going to be somewhere else to start, but I was ecstatic when I found out that I got it. I was like, oh my God. And it's funny because how I say musical theater, people usually had an upper hand.
Right.
I actually learned that a choreographer that me and Katie actually worked with at SMU, Alex Sanchez,
Oh, yeah.
put me through. Yeah, he was
It
really
all
good.
comes back
It,
around.
no,
people.
truly,
It really does.
all comes back around. If you're nice, if you work hard, people want to push you through.
Yeah.
They want to work with who they know and friends.
Yeah.
And it was so nice of Alex to say my name, to be like
Yeah.
when they lost someone, they were like, oh, I know a great guy who would be great in this role. So, yeah.
Totally. So, what would be some of your audition tips and some more tips about being in the room, networking, connecting, especially coming into a city where you knew a lot of people, but
Yeah.
in New York, you feel like you know a lot of people, but then you also don't know anybody. Like, it's
Yeah.
weird. It's weird moving to New York.
No, truly, it's so funny. I actually have so many friends that I would just be out, walking around New York City, going from dance class to dance class, and everyone's like, Jalen, you know everyone. And I'm like, it feels like that, but I promise you, I don't. Like, it
Right.
is such a big pull
But it's because
here.
you're good at networking.
Yes, like
Yeah.
networking is so important, so important. Like showing up to classes, showing up to auditions, being there, like really showing face matters. It's
Yeah.
actually kind of funny. I did this one night concert with Maria Friedman at the Hudson Theater on Broadway, and Merrily We Roll Along was happening there at the time. And the Telsey office got connected with Maria Friedman and Christopher Catelli. He's a choreographer, a Broadway choreographer. Currently, he has his show Death Becomes Her up right now, and is currently working on Take the Lead at Paper Mill. Great show. I was in for it, y'all. It's gonna be an amazing show. Like Adrienne Ballon from the Cheetah Girls is in it.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's gonna be amazing. Anywho,
That's gonna be incredible.
it's
Can't
gonna be
wait.
great. I remember we were in rehearsal and we were going over dance steps, and he was like, "Guys, I just want to talk to you real quick," and we were like, "Okay," and he was like, "I asked Telsey for 12 names. We wanted 12 names of people who show up to auditions and put in the work. Like they show up to every single audition. Maybe it's not their best audition, but you still see good performance, And also nice people.
Right.
People that you see in the room and that you're like, they're being attentive, they're taking direction. They're also helping out their peers when
Right.
people are, we're lost or we're like, oh, I missed that A count. It's like, oh, let me help you out here. And he got the list of the people that were there. And I remember he telling us that, and he was like, keep going.
Yeah.
He was like, you're going to get cut. There's going to be 100 no's before you get that one yes. He's like, you're going to be cut. I've cut some of you. And it's true. Like,
You're like, yeah.
yeah. I'm like, yes, you have.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, yes. But he was like, keep going because you are seen. And it just helps you get to the next stepping block. It's
Right.
always about building trust. That's what my agents are. They're very keen on that. They want us to go to ECCs. Like there's a difference between equity chorus calls and agent calls. And equity chorus calls, anyone can show up. Agent calls, obviously, your agent is getting you the audition. But my agents are always telling us, go build the trust. They want to see someone that they can rely on to show up in a room. So that means they can put you into a room with Broadway veterans, people who
Right.
have done so many shows, and they know you're going to get in there and put on your best work.
Right, because you're also representing them.
Exactly. You're also representing them. You're representing your agent, you know? Like your agent doesn't want to send you into a room if it's not really meant for you, if you know you're not going to do a great job.
Right.
You know, so it's all about building that trust, networking. I always tell people, literally just while you're at dance class, look over to the person next to you and say, "Hey, you did a really good job today."
Yeah.
I do that all the time. All the time. Some people are like, "Jalen, you're ridiculous." And I'm like, no. I'm like, if they did a great job, I'm going to go up to them and tell them, "Hey, you did a great job. What's your name?"
Right.
And I've done that to so many people.
It's as simple as that.
It
And
is.
so many people get scared about doing that. I mean, I even have sometimes, like, I feel like dance classes sometimes in the city can be intense and feel super competitive.
Yeah.
But the simple little thing like that, you just saying, "Hey, that was really great." Or even, "I love your outfit."
Yeah.
Or, or "Your energy was awesome today." Like,
Exactly.
really cool. Where are you from? Do you live in the city?
Exactly. I remember
It's so easy.
Yes, I remember I told someone one day, like, I guess she was having a bad day, but I remember saying, "Hey, your movement quality was very nice. I loved watching you dance." And she was like, honestly, she was like, "Thank you so much. I've been having such a rough day today, and I just needed dance to heal, to heal me today."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, you looked great. Keep going. We're all going to have our rough days, but just know
sure.
that you really showed up for yourself today."
Oh,
And
I
yeah.
love that so much. So, kind of circling back now, what would you tell your college self if you knew where you would end up now today? And we still haven't talked about some of your greatest
I
accomplishments.
know, I know.
Yeah, but if you could tell your college self something to work on that you wish you had done, what would that be?
Something to tell my college self. I would say patience, and also you don't need to know everything that's happening in the background. I still struggle with this today,
Yeah.
both of them. I mean, patience, it's really hard in this industry. Like, sometimes a no is never hearing anything, and a maybe can be a maybe in a year or two,
Yeah.
not even now. And that's like the hard reality of our industry. And I've been finding myself just, especially we're in the midst of audition season right now. And, I'm going to all these auditions, hearing maybes for some, hearing yes for some, but also hearing no for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But those maybes, they're hard. It drives you crazy.
Yeah.
It really does drive you crazy. Like, for like a corporate job, you usually get an email saying, "Thank you so much for applying, but we decided to go with a different candidate."
Right.
For performing, you don't hear anything. And it's actually funny. You could hear nothing today, in 2 years, in 6 months, in a
Right.
week.
And also the difference is that at a corporate job, you apply and you may not even meet the people in person, and they reject you, and so you can move on more easily.
Right.
But you could be taking class from the person that rejects you and tells you no, or tells you, "Oh, maybe in 6 months." And so then you're seeing that person still once a week in class.
Exactly.
And you
And
know them.
yeah,
It's such a smaller world.
them, it's so small, and also it's weird.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
sometimes that's really weird.
Awkward.
It's awkward sometimes when
Yeah, how do you deal with that?
it's, it actually kind of recently happened to me, actually. I went in for an audition and felt great about it. And someone behind the table, I knew who was on the team, and felt great rapport from them. Heard great things, and when you feel it, you feel it. I always say that. When you feel like something's gonna happen, you sometimes know it is, but sometimes you don't.
Right.
And this time, unfortunately, it did not go my way, which was very upsetting, but I was able to talk to the person I knew that was behind the table about it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and to get
That doesn't always happen.
Yeah, it does not always happen. Asking for feedback, sometimes it can be very scary because you're asking a casting director for feedback because you don't know anyone behind the
Right.
table. So they're probably just getting like a generalization of what you did in the room sometimes,
Right.
And sometimes they do give honest feedback that comes from the team. But I was able to ask someone who I would say it's kind of like a dance mentor to me, starting to become one, I
Yeah.
can go to for a lot of things. And it was nice just to hear the honest truth and just to reflect in what she had to say. And it's not that I did bad, but it just wasn't my time.
Right.
And that's how it all comes back to patience.
And sometimes too, it can be like, oh, you weren't tall enough.
Exactly.
Oh,
You weren't
we
tall
like someone
enough.
else's look better.
Yeah, we like
Like,
someone else's
oh,
look better. Unfortunately, the
right.
costumes are already made, so you
Mm.
have to fit into this costume. Unfortunately, the wigs are already made. There's so many factors
Yeah.
that it's really hard to not take it personal.
Yeah.
That is the key thing. And that's another thing that I struggle with, every performer struggles with. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, an audition, you're judging us on how we dance, how we sing, our
Everything.
presentation,
How you carry
how
yourself.
we are as a human being.
Mhm.
So it can be so hard when I hear you cannot take it personal, it's
Yeah.
not you, just keep going.
Yeah.
And you have to keep going. And that is something that I keep coming back to and I'm like reflecting on. And I'm like, Jalen, patience, patience, patience. You got this. Yeah.
I love it. I mean, that's such good advice for anyone in any stage.
Mhm.
But how does it feel when you finally do get it? You've had some major shows that you've been a part of recently, and like
Yes.
choreography workshops
Mhm.
and things like that.
Yeah.
So tell us, what have you been doing? What did you do
Yeah,
last summer? What have you
definitely.
been up to?
um,
And how did it feel when you finally did get that yes?
yeah, it feels amazing,
Mhm.
yet scary at the same time.
Mhm.
I've gotten to do some amazing things. I've gotten to work at some great regional theaters, the Kennedy Center for
The
one of
Kennedy
them.
Center. I've been waiting
I
to
know.
bring it up.
It's amazing. Like, come on. The Kennedy Center is an
Like,
amazing venue.
literally.
Like, it was great. I did Bye Bye Birdie there this past summer
Mhm.
with Dennis Jones and Mark Bruni. And it was a great experience. And in that audition, that was one of the many auditions, I left. And part of me felt like, oh, Jalen, you might have booked it.
Yeah.
But
You felt good about it.
I felt great about it. But there was that 1% of me that was like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Doubting myself, I was like, oh, but the person next to me did this. Or the person after my group did this.
Mhm.
Or, they saw 200. They almost saw like close to 200 of us.
Oh, wow.
And they were looking for 4 and 4. 4 guys and 4 girls. So, you're always beating yourself up as a performer. And you're like, no way they're going to give it to me. And I remember I was on a train heading up home. And my agent called me. And I was like, this is the first time. And this was with my new agency, CESD. And great agency, y'all. Amazing, amazing people.
Shout out.
Love the girls. Yeah, she called me. And I was on the train. And we were like on an express. So we were just going through a bunch of different stops.
Oh my God, you were on the subway?
Yeah, I was literally on the subway and
That's so
somehow I got the
stressful.
phone call. And I was like,
Meant to be.
no, literally meant to be. And I literally went, Rebecca, I will call you back in literally 2 minutes. And I got off at the next stop. Wasn't my stop at all. I just got
Aw.
off, ran upstairs, and I called her. And I called her back and she was like, so you booked Bye Bye Birdie. And I was like, and I started crying. I actually started crying because I was so proud of myself.
Mhm.
Because I felt it. It was like,
It's like the moment that you've worked your entire life for. And
Yeah.
there'll be so many more to come, but it's like when
Yeah.
you finally get that.
I know, it's so nice to hear a yes. It really is. And you have to treasure those moments because you will not hear that a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember I called my mom, was the first person I called.
Oh.
And she was so happy for me. And I started crying because she started crying. And when my mom cries, I cry. And I'm like, no, stop. But
I love
it was an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
So I loved my experience at the Kennedy Center.
Mhm.
Great time.
How
Great
was it
people.
different from some of the regional theaters you had been doing? Because
Yeah.
obviously the regional theaters, a lot of people don't realize, but these regional theaters are incredible and
yes.
just as good and high tech as a Broadway show could
Yeah.
be. But it is different when you like make it to Broadway or make
Mhm.
it to the Kennedy Center or one of these
Right.
major theaters. So how did that feel going from like regional to one of the main stages?
Yeah, regional theater, I love it. There are some people who knock it. And there's nothing against regional theater. Regional
Yeah.
theater, amazing talent, amazing
Amazing
talent,
venues.
amazing venues. Thank
Amazing
you.
places to live for a summer.
Thank you. For summer, for the fall, you
Right.
never. Yeah, I've gone to perform in Cincinnati, Maine, Pennsylvania, Utah. Some great.
Finger Lakes.
Yeah, Finger Lakes. Yeah, upstate New York. That was a great time. I will say Cincinnati. It's actually a really cute story. One of my really close friends, one of my best friends, Olivia. I remember I booked the show and it was the first day of rehearsal. And how I was saying before previously that it's so exciting, but at the same time, it's so scary. And that's where I had the opportunity to swing. So a swing is usually a performer who will be in the ensemble and they will swing slash cover leads in the show. So when someone gets sick and they're like, Katie Hopsiger will not be at this performance today. It will be Jalen,
Right.
performing the role.
You have to
And
know all the tracks.
Yeah, you have to know all the tracks. Like you show up to rehearsal, and sometimes in rehearsal, it's not technically, you're not the limelight because it's not your track, and you're pretty much in the background.
We have an amazing garbage truck.
I know we do have
rolling
an
by the
amazing garbage
studio.
truck.
So sorry if you're listening.
And it's sometimes being a swing can be hard because it's the limelight's not on you. They're not asking you the questions. They're working with the people who are actually in the roles.
Yeah.
So it's a lot about self-discovery, like a lot of self-homework. And it was the hardest. It was such a hard time. It was a hard thing, but I was very happy I did it because it showed me a lot about myself. Like it showed me that, oh, Jalen, you do have a strong voice. You can cover. You can do this.
Yeah, it gives you that confidence.
Yeah, it gives you so much confidence, but I was scared. I remember I was so scared that the first day of rehearsal, I FaceTimed Olivia, my best friend, and I wrote on the place I was staying at in the time, there was a whiteboard, and I took a marker and I wrote, "You got this." And I literally remember it actually, I actually start tearing up when I start talking about it because why am I doing
gonna
it?
cry
No,
too?
really.
Why are we crying?
I remember I couldn't get words out. I FaceTimed her and I was just crying. And she was like, Jalen, what's wrong? And I literally showed her the whiteboard and it just read, and it says, "You got this." And literally about to start crying. And she was like, it was such a special moment.
Yeah.
And I will treasure that day because Olivia was like, "You do got this." Like, you wouldn't be put in this situation if they didn't think you could do it, or if you couldn't do it. You showed them that you could do it, and it was a moment that I was so scared in, but at the same time, I was so excited to see what the future was gonna hold for me.
Right.
Sorry, I'm like.
Oh my
literally
gosh, no,
sniffling
it's so
over here.
special. I feel like being a dancer or being a performer or any type of artist, or really anyone, like when you have a dream and you work for it for years and
Yeah.
years and years, even if you are at the top of your game, sometimes it's hard to recognize that you are.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to let yourself have one of those moments. So the fact that you let yourself have that is so incredible. Because I remember even looking back at videos from college or any sort of video or
Yeah.
picture, I remember being in that moment being like, oh, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough. That was terrible. I watch it back and I'm like, I never posted this because I thought I was bad. And I look back and I was like,
You're like,
we were
wait.
amazing.
No, literally. You're like, what were we thinking?
Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good.
Yeah.
What was I thinking? And so it's when you finally have those moments to yourself where you say I am enough, I am fantastic at this, I know I'm great, and then other people are recognizing it too.
Yeah.
It's so special.
It's nice. It's nice to be validated sometimes.
Right.
And it's also a tricky thing in this industry because you can't seek it. If you try to seek it, you'll go crazy because you're not gonna get it.
Right.
Like
It can really only come from yourself.
yeah, it can only
end of the
come.
day.
It can only come from yourself. Like once you feel that you are worthy enough, that's your answer. You know you have what it takes.
Yeah, and there will always be another role, another show to perform, another thing to choreograph.
Exactly.
Even when you make it to the top of your game, there will always be something to do to get better and better and to
Exactly.
push more.
There's always, it's a
So,
ladder. You're going to keep climbing, keep climbing, keep climbing. All you can do is
right.
get better. All you can do is grow, grow, and grow.
But if you don't let yourself have those moments of, ah, I
Yeah.
did it, then you'll lose passion for it, and then you'll want to jump off the
Yeah,
ladder.
exactly. Exactly.
I don't know what type of metaphor that was, but
That was great.
I'm dead. That's funny. Okay, so Kennedy Center,
Hmm.
incredible. And what are you up to now? That was last summer.
Yeah.
And so then you got back to the city. You had this incredible life-changing
Hmm.
show. And how did that change your life coming back to New York?
Yeah. I would say coming back to New York after the Kennedy Center, it has definitely helped me get into bigger rooms,
Mm,
and more nuanced rooms. I remember when I signed with my new agency, I was talking to my agents and I was like, I really want to get into those niche rooms.
what do you mean by that?
Niche as in, like I love the Oklahomas. I love I can't even think, I wouldn't even go in for Jersey Boys, but I love the Jersey Boys and all that stuff. But there are new works that are happening every day
Yeah.
that you want to be a part of. You want to be within the process. You want to be within the creation because that is how
Yeah.
they become these huge things. I mean, at the end, like at the beginning of like, what am I saying? Like Hamilton,
Yeah.
it started with Lin-Manuel getting together with people and putting this idea forward, and then having the first workshop, having it here, having it there, then bringing it to the public theater where they workshopped it before it came to Broadway. And that's what I meant by niche rooms. I want to
Mm.
be, essentially, this is so cheesy, but in the room
Where it
where it
happens.
happens. Like, yeah, it's so
But
true.
it's so true.
It's
Yeah.
true. It's like you want to be able to find yourself in rooms with like-minded people and rooms that will push the envelope on
Mm.
performing, that will push the envelope on new ideas to
Like
bring
lets
to
you
the
be a
world.
part of that creation process
Exactly.
versus learning an older work.
Exactly. Which older works are great. I have done some myself. I mean, Bye Bye
Mm-hmm.
Birdie,
Right.
an older work. Loved doing it. But yeah, that was the main thing. I really wanted to like get more into the nicher, grittier
Yeah.
things of performing. Um, what was the? Where were we?
I don't know.
Of
What
course,
was the
I
question?
like.
That is
Oh,
interesting though.
being back from New York, I will.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
having the Kennedy Center on my resume and having all the theaters that I've been able to work at has allowed me to get into bigger rooms.
Right. So you can
Um,
be in those
yeah, so I
nicher-
can be in those nicher projects, and
Yeah.
also it shows casting directors that you're reliable.
Right.
We can trust you,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, trust. That's where it has to start. The foundation has to be built from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I would say being back from the Kennedy Center has done. Of course, as you know, survival jobs as a performer.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk
So
about it. I mean, you are so successful already for only being out of college for
trying.
what, like 3 years?
Yeah, almost 3 years. Wow.
Like crazy.
Crazy.
Oh my God, are we old?
No, literally.
um, but yeah, so you've already done so many amazing shows,
Mhm.
but we all know
They're not
you
forever.
need to make money
Exactly.
and pay rent in New York City.
Yes, we love money.
So, what have you done to kind of make a living here, and
Mhm.
what do some of your other friends do, and how has that helped you? Kind of tell
Yeah.
us about your experience with that.
Definitely. I feel like there's so many things. I mean,
Yeah.
I think artists are the strongest people because we have to be. We have to do so much to obtain what we want. I would say I've done many things. I babysit.
Yeah.
I teach at private schools throughout Manhattan and Brooklyn, and I teach dance. Great side gigs. Love doing that. I will say, something I have found ever since coming back from the Kennedy Center, I wanted to find jobs that fulfilled me.
Mm.
I didn't want to work at a restaurant. I didn't want to do, per se, retail for my full-time job.
Right.
I really wanted to do something that was within the realm of what I want to do. So teaching, I found a love for teaching kids.
Really?
I love it. I mean, I get to dance. Also, I get to show them steps.
Right.
It makes
You
me
get
so
to work
happy.
on your
Yeah.
craft.
Get to work on my craft. It makes me so happy when I come back into class and one of them goes, Mr. Jalen, I've been working on my paradiddle. Or Mr. Jalen, I've
Oh,
been working on my pas de bourrée that we've been working on all semester, and the
right.
last day they finally get it. And you could just see them light up, and you can see their like joy for dance. Just because they got it, it's such a special
Yeah.
moment. And their parents come up to you at the performances and are like, "Thank you so much." Like my kid comes home always
Yeah.
speaking, always talking highly about you. They're like, look at the stretches we learned from Mr. Jalen. Look at the
Oh,
cool things. And then even the parents sometimes. Some of the
right.
parents come up to me and they're like, I've been doing all the stretches. They're great. Like I'm so happy you taught my daughter or my son this. And I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh.
yes. I'm like, well, yes, of
That's
course.
funny.
So yeah, I've been teaching, nannying, sometimes retail here and there. There have been a
Mhm.
few gigs that I've been doing, and I'm very thankful about that. That goes back to networking. All the gigs I have done has
Yeah.
been through networking and someone being like, hey, I need a dancer, and a friend going, oh, there's this great guy, Jalen. I've worked with him. I've seen him in dance class. Every single time he's here, he really shows up for himself. You should work with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've gotten to do some like really cool dance gigs here and there.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's interesting what you said though about how you want a survival job to kind of like tie into like
Tie in basically into the world in which I want to be
yeah,
in. Yeah.
and give you more like passion through your
Yeah,
survival job as
fulfillment.
well. Fulfillment.
Yeah.
Duh. Like give you more fulfillment. And I feel like that's something I'm striving to do too, like outside of work as well. And like
Mm-hmm.
everybody should end up loving their job no matter how many they have
Right.
or what it ends up being.
Yeah.
But have you found fulfillment in every single dance job you've had? I'm curious about this because I do think we were so used to the artistic pursuit of it growing up.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing a lot. Sometimes I'll go to a show and it necessarily doesn't fulfill me as an
Mm-hmm.
audience member because maybe they're just trying to fill the seats and make money
Right.
or not go for that artistic route. Like
Mm-hmm.
have you found fulfillment? You don't have to name the jobs, but
Right.
have you found fulfillment in every single dance job? I'd be interested to hear that.
Um, I would say no. I
Yeah.
mean, there's some jobs that I have loved, and it has truly. Mo- I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh, I cannot wait to get there. And by the time we're heading out, I'm like, oh, I wish we had another hour.
Yeah.
And then there are those jobs where it's not the cream of the crop.
What do you think the difference is? What
I
creates that fulfillment for you?
I think what creates that fulfillment is really the team,
Mm.
the community. I'm very big on working with people who are nice, who are fun, who
Yeah.
are like minded like you. You never want to work in a space where you're walking on eggshells.
No.
It's what are we gonna it gets us nowhere. And there have been some instances where, although it's never directed at me, but I can feel it in the room. Like, and when you feel it in the air, it just diminishes and brings down the energy in the room. So sometimes I've been in spaces where I'm like, oh, like I thought more of it.
Right.
But it was still a great opportunity, and I was very thankful for being thought of, and for having.
Of course, you can learn from anything.
Yeah, you can learn from so many things. So yeah, I would say those have been moments I've been like, oh dang, like
Interesting.
I wasn't as fulfilled
Yeah.
from it, but it still taught me a lot. So,
Yeah. Okay, so you're in audition season right now.
in
You're
audition
loving
season right
teaching.
now. Yes.
What's next for you?
Actually, I do have a show coming up. I know. I
Oh my
haven't really told
gosh.
anyone.
Oh, is
So,
this the big announcement?
I mean, it's a good show. I'm excited for it. I don't know much about it. I know a little bit about it. So it's a show it's gonna be at Act of Connecticut,
Okay.
and it's this theater, a regional house in Connecticut, and they're doing a show called A Few Words.
Amazing.
And I believe it's more of like a dance review, like a musical dance review.
Ooh.
And it's including choreographers like Sarah Bryant, Jennifer Archibald,
Oh, no
Malik. I
way.
know Malik Washington and Eleanor Scott. Yeah.
Wow. Oh
So
my gosh, what a lineup.
I know, great lineup.
Incredible. Yeah.
And I actually found out I got it about 2 weeks ago, and I'm so excited
That's amazing.
to
When
start.
when is it?
It's going to be, I believe we open March 26th and we close on the
Okay,
30th.
good.
but we start rehearsals next Monday.
Oh my gosh, so everyone listening,
I know.
if
Come
you're
on
in New
up.
York, get your butt on the train and
Yeah.
we're going up to Connecticut.
Yes.
We're going to go see it.
Come to Connecticut.
This is so exciting. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
I'm super excited. It'll just be nice to work with different choreographers.
Right.
You know, and like I said at the beginning, telling story through dance.
Yeah.
You know, that is what I'm most excited about. And also, it's going to be really cool to collaborate with the composer. I believe it's all new music. So I'm super
Oh, that's really nice.
I know. I'm super excited to see how this all unwinds.
comes
Yeah, it all
together.
comes together.
I'm excited for you as well. I can't wait to come watch it.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, to kind of wrap up,
Yeah.
which I feel like we could talk for hours. We
Oh,
haven't
truly.
even gone into any of our college stories yet.
Oh my God, and there's so
We'll-
many, y'all.
We'll have to do a throwback episode.
Snow day.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Crazy.
But what are some words that you live by? What is some advice that you can give for up and coming dancers and people in college right now looking to be where you are today?
Definitely. It's so funny. I have like a saying for the year, and I
Ooh.
thought of it like in November,
Okay.
and it's actually from our dear beloved teacher, Miss Myra Woodruff.
Oh my
I know.
goodness.
We love her. Rest in peace. Love you, girl. I know
Yeah.
she's watching over us
Wait, she is.
every single day.
Myra is one of our dear teachers from SMU who unfortunately passed away
Yeah.
recently,
But she was everything.
incredible.
Incredible. So inspiring. And I remember in class, she would always say 2 words: be daring.
Yes.
Be daring. And I would say, that's what I would say to people who, you know, I would say that to myself. And I think of that, I go into these auditions, I go into life, and I'm like, Jalen, you have nothing to lose, but everything to win. Be daring. Make those bold choices, because that is how you stand out. That is how they see you, how you're inviting them into who you are, into your space. And I would say, when you're in these auditions, when you're in these interviews, anything you're going for, be daring. Really just put yourself out there, because you never know. In terms of auditions, scaling you back, it's easier to ask you to scale back rather than to give more. Like, and if you're always being asked to scale back, you know you're giving them exactly what they want, and they're just trying to fine tune you. But if they're always asking for more, it's like it gets you
They
stuck.
don't ever know if they're going to get it.
Right, they don't ever know if they're going to get it, so how can they trust you? So I've just been going throughout this year with, be daring, Jalen. Make
Yeah.
those bold choices. So yeah,
I couldn't think of any better advice, especially from Myra.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
of course.
Oh, thank you so much for coming.
No, of course, thank you. This has
was
been so
much
fun.
fun.
This
I
is-
know. We definitely need to do another episode.
No, definitely.
To dive even deeper into
Yeah.
college and auditioning and everything
All
that
of
you're
it.
up to.
All the things.
All the things,
All
as
the-
Brandy
as
would
Brandy.
say.
As Brandy would say, all the things. We love her.
Everyone watching is like, who are all these people?
I know.
We're just like catching up. But no, thank you so much. I
Of
love you so
course.
much. You were one of my best friends, and I'm so happy that I
Uh-huh.
could share this with you and
Yes.
with all of our viewers. So
No. Thank
and
you
listeners.
so much.
So thank you so much. To all of you guys listening, thank you for joining us today. We are live at Zeem Studios on Select Tuesdays, so follow us on Instagram and YouTube and Spotify and on Zeem to figure out when we'll be streaming live and to stay up to date with all of our episodes. So
Yay.
thank you all so much. Bye.
Woo, bye.